Talk about a match of the weekend. Ireland versus South Africa, 25-24. The Irish come away with the victory. The last second drop goal by Frawley. Absolutely mind-blowing, man. What an incredible game played by the Irish. Literally, they played from the first whistle to the last whistle. They played super consistent, cohesive rugby, and they deserved to win that match. You know, I love South Africa. They were non-existent in the first half, right? They were non-existent in the first half. The second half came on. They started playing better rugby, like the South African rugby that we're used to seeing, fought back in the game. But overall, it wasn't the best South African rugby that we've seen, and just let a lot of mistakes happen during that match. And it looked like just the energy wasn't there for South Africa this game. And what really kept them in the game was Handré Pollard. That man was ice cold. I have to look at his whole stat line, but without the boot of Pollard, South Africa would have been out the game because there were no tries scored from the South African side. And the Irish were very dominant. They created a lot of turnovers. They were very strong on defense within their 22 and within their 5. And I feel like that's the Irish team that I was used to seeing with Six Nations this year. Mistake-free rugby, consistent, strong tackles, a very strong attacking side, and just like the drop goals were absolutely brilliant from Frawley. That man came in off the bench, 2 clutch drop goals, one to get him back in the game, and the last one to win at the final second. Absolutely incredible to watch. This was one of the most exciting matches of the weekend. I thought New Zealand and England was incredible, but this Irish versus South Africa match, we need a third one, y'all. Give me a third test match for New Zealand, Ireland. They're both 1-1 right now. We need a third one to be a decider for summer or autumn. World Rugby, make this one happen, man. What an incredible, fun match to watch. But I feel that the Irish really did deserve this victory because they came out full steam. They applied the pressure, they kept the foot on the pedal, and they kept South Africa on their heels. South Africa played a uncharacteristically bad game, I would say. From the beginning, there were mishandles that they were having. They weren't taking advantage of the opportunities they had, especially within the 22 and the 5 on the attacking side, and that's what overall led to them losing this match. There were opportunities they had to score tries, and overall just making bad mistakes. One of the plays I think about was when I thought South Africa had the momentum, and I'll have to look at the time when it happened, but when Faf got the ball, he had the opportunity to either run it and get past the gain line, but he decided to make an errant kick touch forward. He tried to do it like a little grubber off the bottom of his foot, and he kicked it directly into the Irish player's hands, and the Irish get it and then they pass it to Crowley and he kicks it out, and they lose that advantage. So it was plays like that where I feel like they were missed opportunities for South Africa, where they overplayed their hand at times. Especially, I'm thinking about that one Faf play, and I'm trying to think of others as I'm talking, but they didn't take advantage of the opportunities they had to score the points and left some valuable points on the field, and gave Irish back that momentum that just kept them in the game and kept them driving forward. As I said, the first half, the Irish owned it. All 40 minutes of the first half, the Irish owned it. What was it at half? I'm gonna take a look at the scoreline. It was 16-6 at half, right? Coming out of halftime, that's when South Africa stepped on the gas a bit. They started turning it up from that 40 to 60 minute point. The South Africans were, the foot on the pedal. About the 40 to 60 point, they had their foot on the pedal, and they were the attacking side. They were putting it on Ireland, and it looked like, man, okay, this is South Africa's, pulling away. They're starting to enforce their will upon the Irish. But somewhere in that 60 to 80th minute, the Irish got their identity back and started playing the way they did in that first half, and kept themselves close enough to have those plays unfold to where now we look at it, South Africa ends up on the losing end of a 1-point loss. And I think about like all the wins leading up to the World Cup last year, the 1-point victories that South Africa had against those 3 nations, and how the heartbreak of those nations felt. Now I wonder how South Africa feels being on the losing end of such a tightly contested match to a bitter rival, right? And leaving this test match 1-1 between both. We just truly need a deciding game to see how it all pans out. Who's the winner? It was just a super fun match to watch. Just hats off to both of these incredible nations. They put on a true spectacle, a true class game of rugby. You know, I know South Africa didn't play the best rugby that they've ever played. There were moments of sloppiness and incohesion, and not playing together, and just like mistakes and mishandles. But I feel like the Irish just really brought it this match. They came prepared. They made the adjustments they needed to make this week after losing last week, and they played strong Irish rugby, and it was like a lot of mistake-free rugby, and just those drop goals like by Frawley were absolutely brilliant. That was incredible to watch. So looking at the key events, the starting, so we had, you know, Crowley getting the penalty goal, taking Irish 3-0. We had Murray scoring at the 13th minute, and Crowley getting the conversion, 10-0, starting off the game within the first 14 minutes. South Africa's down by 10. And then we have Pollard, man, he had to be one of the men of the match, right? This guy's boot was absolutely solid today. Did he go, what was it, 7 for 7? And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff. I always love when you provide your analysis and input and correct me where I'm wrong. So feel free to drop your comments and let's have that conversation and dialogue. It's absolutely helpful to me. Pollard scores within the 18th and 34th minute to bring the game to 6-10, trailing. And then we had Crowley scoring 2 more penalty goals, making the score 16-3 going into halftime. So going into halftime, things were looking bleak for South Africa. And I was sitting there looking, and we're sitting on talking on live stream. I was like, man, this is just, it's not the South African team that we're used to seeing. And the Irish side was really dominant. So I was wondering what adjustments Russie would make in the locker room. And I was also wondering, like, going back to chasing the sun, who would step up in the South African locker room, whether it's Etzebeth, whether it's DeToy, whether it's Colby, whoever have you, that is that sounding board as they're in the shed and saying, hey, we need to capture our identity again and make this thing happen. Oh, and before I forget, the man Ox got the man of the match. Ox played an incredible game. He deserves all the love and praise. The forwards for South Africa did incredible. The forwards for the Irish did incredible. It was a slugfest. Even from the beginning of the game, I loved that these teams, it was just the physicality was on another level. You had Eben Etzebeth bleeding from his head. You had Doris. Doris is a hell of a player. That dude he's a hell of a player. He was the captain of the Irish side. Incredible, man. I want to do some more research and due diligence on him. You had him coming out of the match. You had, you know, just blood flying everywhere. There were so many, not injuries, because they weren't injuries, because nobody got really like torn up to that. Well, that South African player, he got hurt. There were injuries, there's blood flying, so they literally left it all on the field, blood, sweat, and tears. The physicality of this game was on another level, and so I can truly say that both teams left it all out on the field, and they should be incredibly proud of themselves. And you as a nation, whether you're from Ireland or you're from South Africa, should be proud of your nation and your teams, because both sides played incredibly hard and physical rugby, and it was fun to watch. So coming out of half, we had Pollard drilling it at the 44th minute, making the game 9-16. Doris, as I mentioned, he gets that yellow card, and that's when South Africa went on a tear. Having that man advantage, the boot of Pollard stayed true, and he was putting them through. 47th minute, 52nd minute, 56th minute, Pollard put South Africa back in the lead, 18-6. And then we had Crowley with the penalty goal putting Ireland up 19-18 at the 58th minute. And this is when I feel that the tide was starting to shift at that 60th minute, where the Irish started getting their flow back. South Africa was able to pull away off the boot of Pollard, where they had the 2 penalty goals, putting them up 24-19. But the Irish were still attacking. They were still attacking, still keeping their strategy and executing well. And that's when Frawley came in. Frawley, man, absolutely brilliant. 69th minute drop goal. I don't know how many meters out. I would like to say about 38 meters out. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and let's see if they put it on here when it doesn't say how many meters he was out. And then the deciding drop goal to win the match at the 79th minute to take the lead at 25-24. Frawley, man, his boot was golden, and it was awesome to see him utilize that drop goal. Absolutely brilliant plays. Let's take a look at some of the breakdown here. Time in the lead, we had 56 minutes compared to 21 minutes in the lead for Ireland. So they own that majority of the game. Percentage of time in the lead, 69% to 26%. The Irish own that. And then also 58% to to 42% within the last 10 minutes of possession. So the Irish had a dominant time of possession. So that speaks to why they had more of control of the game, because they had the ball in hand. They were on the attacking side more than South Africa. South Africa was playing on their heels a lot, and when South Africa was in the advantage on the attacking side, they didn't take advantage of their 22-meter and their 5-meter advantages that they had. Like going down to the 22-meter entries, this is the tail of the tape right here. The 22-meter entries, 7-5. So we had South Africa 7 entries at the 22 compared to the 5 entries for Ireland. But this is where it is, you know, where the difference is 0.4 average points scored for South Africa compared to the average point scored for Ireland is 2. You can't win games if you're not able to convert within that 22-meter entry line, and that's where Ireland was able to capitalize and get those points necessary to squeak out the victory. Looking at the attacking profiles, we see that 7-5, South Africa had that, but they didn't convert. So we had the 22-meter conversions, 0.43 compared to for 2 for Irish. Line breaks, we had 8-3. Irish winning that. 117 carries compared to 91. 36 kicks compared to 30. Irish win that as well. And post-meter contacts, 158 to 144. South Africa has the advantage on that one. But the story happens is when, you know, the conversions within that, getting 2 points compared to 0.43 is just the point that just takes it over the top, and that's why Ireland was able to do it. Looking at the defensive breakdown, 20 dominant tackles to 13. South Africa 119 to 112. They were pretty even on the tackles made. Tackles missed 21 to 15. Irish, you know, lost that battle. Turnovers 7-2. So 7 turnovers won to Ireland compared to the 2 that South Africa, and that just speaks like to the mishandles and to the opportunities that South Africa was giving away to Ireland in those times. So this turnovers was a big story. Big storyline in this one. Also tackle turnovers 4-2 with the Irish winning that one, and also tackle offloads allowed 12-8. And so defensively, the Irish outplayed South Africa on the defensive battle and also on the offensive side of the game as well. And so I just have to give a massive shout out to Andre Pollard. He kept South Africa in the game, man. With his boot, he scored every single point. All 24 points are credit to Andre Pollard taking advantage of those penalty goals that he was getting. Ruck speed 52% to 61% in the 0 to 3 seconds. Ireland wins that one. 3 to 6 seconds, Irish win just by a margin on that, 22 to 21. And 6+ seconds, the ruck speed 22% to 13%. So overall, rucks won 68 for South Africa, 88 for Ireland. And then the penalties, 3 for South Africa and 2 for Ireland. And so it's just hard to win games when you have penalties and you're not able to convert within that 22 to 5 meter area. Overall, I really loved this game. It was exceptional to watch these two incredible nations go at it back and forth. And, you know, I think Ox did an exceptional job. Crowley, we have Frawley, Doris did a fantastic job. James Lowe, always that guy. He's a solid player, man. He's just super consistent. Andre Pollard did an exceptional job. Who else might I be missing? The Toy did great. Eben Etzebeth did a fantastic job. He was strong. I think Cheslin and Ardenser did a good job. There were times where, you know, Cheslin got the breakaway, but the Irish defense was able to stifle those attacks from both Cheslin and Ardenser, and especially when they got to that 5 meter line, Ireland's defense was stout. They were firm, and they held up. And I just have to give a massive shout out to both of these incredible nations for putting on fun, exciting, and entertaining rugby matches. Both of these fixtures from last week to this week were incredibly entertaining, and I'm excited to see how both of these sides continue to develop and polish up their game as we get more into the autumn season of rugby. And it's just gonna be fun to watch them develop. I know South Africa is building into their 4-year cycle, as you all have let me know, and I'm just really trying to understand and see the genius of Rusty in person and seeing it live for the first time and understanding why he's doing what he's doing, his strategy, his brilliance, and also the brilliance of the Irish side, seeing how they're able to mastermind and build their game plan and building towards their entry into the World Cup for 2027. So it's absolutely fun to watch. This was my game of the weekend. You know, even like New Zealand was the game of the weekend as well, because just seeing how that match turned out, it's so much fun watching this rugby, and it's fun connecting with you. And please, in the comments below, let me know if I missed anything. Let me know your analysis and thoughts. I love hearing it and love hearing your feedback on everything, Qrew. And also this week, I'm going to be flying to my first international match in San Diego, California. I'm going to be watching New Zealand play Fiji. I'll be on the pitch. I have media credentials. I'll have the media vest, and I'll be vlogging that entire event, so you're coming along with me. And the following day, I'm going to be flying to Seattle to cover the Seattle Seawolves versus the San Diego Legion for the semifinal playoffs for Major League Rugby. And I'm going to be vlogging that as well, Qrew. And that's all came to fruition because of you and your incredible support. So I love you. I appreciate you. In our descriptions below, if you haven't already, drop into our Discord. Let's connect offline in my QSN Rugby pub. We talk about family, life, food, share pictures, talk about rugby, and I have announcements with things upcoming like matches, live streams, and all that good stuff, Qrew. But I love you. I appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next video, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Always stay laser focused on your dreams and your vision, and remember that you're in control. I love you. Peace.